Welcome to the latest issue of Wiser. And in this episode, we're going to be talking about hand gestures that control your Apple Watch, plus the European Union and the United States Federal Reserve's plans for digital currencies. Elon Musk is in trouble again, and TikTok launched a radio station for their demographic that have never heard of radio. Remember, hit the subscribe button, or if you're listening on the audio blog, hit the heart button and let us know that you like what you've heard. Now, let's get on. Part 1. How Apple have built a 10-year lead in wearable technology. Now, you may have missed this one, because most people did, but released as a series of new features designed for people with mobility, vision, hearing and cognitive disabilities, this new tech showcases Apple's continued push into the wearable space. Called Assistive Touch, the technology allows all users to control their Apple Watch without having to touch the screen. Instead, you pinch and clench your hand to roll your wrist to activate apps and control your Apple Watch. Now, you may recall that I've covered this tech before in Wiser, but not with Apple. Most notably, Facebook are working on technology that can also use hand and finger movements to control future gadgets. But Apple appear to be ahead of the game and expect 2021 revenues from wearables in the order of $31 billion. That means selling over 100 million wearable units, which include the watch, AirPods and Beats headphones. Now, Apple's Assistive Touch is just the latest example of how Apple's lead in wearables should not be underestimated. Now, is this deja vu all over again? Because remember, in 2007, when Steve Jobs introduced the iPhone to the world, he said it was probably 5 years ahead of any other mobile phone. And he was right back then. What would he be saying today about the Apple Watch? Now, according to analyst Neil Seibart, Apple are probably 10 years ahead of the market when it comes to wearables. According to Seibart, there are 5 reasons for Apple building such a strong wearables business. Apple saw the opportunity early and are one of the first in this space. Number 2, other companies bet on voice and are now in catch-up. Number 3, Apple understand people-centric design and they know how to make devices appealing. Number 4, Apple's supply chain advantage left little room for price competition for entry-level devices. And number 5, Apple applied lessons learned from mobile device user experiences to push wearables forward. Watch this space when it comes to wearables. Now, part 2 is Crypto Corner, and this week I'm going to be looking at the digital euro, which seems to be on its way. Earlier this week, the European Central Bank issued a report that warns against failing to issue a central bank digital currency, also known as a CBDC, which you may remember I covered recently in a Wiser in 5 special. Now, the central bank claims that the absence of a digital euro could weaken the euro. It could even cause the European Union to lose control of its monetary policy. The EU report came days after a similar warning from the US Federal Reserve about the US dollar. The issue for the Fed is far greater because around 80% of global trade is made in US dollars. Now, the place to watch is China, and they are already ahead of both the EU, which is the world's largest economy, and the United States, which has the largest currency in the world, when it comes to CBDCs. The digital yen was launched last year and is being trailed across large parts of the population. And there are many lessons to be learned from watching what happens in China. 2 of the biggest, in my humble opinion, are 1, financial inclusion. With a digital currency, you don't need a bank account to pay someone or be paid with a mobile phone. China is ahead of its international commitments to lift the poorest in its nation out of poverty. Number 2, international trade. China has built a network of trading systems, many using blockchain technology, that will make international trade with China easier and cheaper. They have removed many of the barriers, also known as friction, to trade. The digital currency opens up even more options to use the digital yen instead of the US dollar as the preferred currency of choice for international trade. Little plug, you should watch my YouTube special where I interview Richard Turin on his recent book called Cashless: China's Digital Revolution. Both of these central bank reports also highlight the threat from private digital currencies issued by what they call foreign tech giants. Now, they didn't name names, but almost certainly they meant Facebook and the Dime project. Now, the European Central Bank report said that individuals and merchants alike would be vulnerable to a small number of dominant providers with strong market power. This was a clear reference to the perceived threat of a big tech digital currency. Now, if you want to know what that means, it would look something like this. Imagine Imagine if Facebook had a digital currency, happened to be called Dime, and you held your dimes in a Facebook wallet on your phone or computer. Just think of them as tokens like casino chips, which you've bought or have been given. Now imagine being able to send these dimes instantly over WhatsApp to someone in your contacts list, even if they live in another part of the world, and you don't have to exchange the money into dollars, euros, or pounds. And imagine that the cost of sending those dimes to them is zero or near zero, and it's instant. Now imagine that there are shops on Instagram that accept these dimes as payment, and you can buy stuff with your dimes straight out of your Facebook wallet, and then the Instagram merchants can spend their dimes that you've given them to buy things that they've made and they sell. Now you have a whole ecosystem of trade enabled by Facebook's digital money. This is what the central banks are worried about, because in this scenario, the Facebook dime works in its own world with no accountability or control by the central bank. And without that control, how would government collect taxes or set interest rates, for example? Now, just as a small side note for the technicians out there, technically a CBDC is not the same as a cryptocurrency because it is a digital version of real money and it is underwritten by the central bank that issued it. Facebook's dime, on the other hand, would be a form of cryptocurrency, commonly known as a stablecoin. This is where the cryptocurrency is pegged to the US dollar, for example, on a one-to-one basis. Finally, TikTok moves into radio. Now, TikTok have announced an exclusive partnership with Pandora and SiriusXM to create TikTok Radio. The digital radio station will launch this summer with trending sounds through the SiriusXM app and a series of playlists hosted by TikTok creators. TikToker Bella Porch, with 71 million followers, will kick off the partnership with her own TikTok Taste Masters playlist. TikTok are hoping to turn creators into curators. A curated TikTok radio feed is the perfect example of using existing content to find favour with new audiences, especially Gen Z consumers who potentially have never tuned into the radio before. By working directly with services like Pandora and SiriusXM, TikTok is further cementing their influence and exploitation of music and culture to the young demographic that use TikTok. With the move to the 3-minute video clip, and it's currently limited to 60 seconds on TikTok, and the introduction of direct advertising onto the platform, TikTok sees the future of music, culture, and ad revenues as inextricably linked. That's all for this week. If you've liked these stories and you'd like a whole load more, jump over to the Substack page and subscribe to the newsletter, or you can find me on rickhuckstep.com, where you have all the links to social media and the newsletter and my blog and everything else that we do. Please hit the subscribe button, hit the notification button, let us know that you love it by hitting the heart button, and I look forward to talking to you next week. And remember, insight and information gives you leverage.